Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome once again to the Remote Workforce Summit organized by Kalish Times. We hope that you've been having a good time. For our next very important and very relevant session called Resilience Together to Emerge Stronger, I would like to call Mr. Rahul Mishra, Vice President Oracle, and he has over 20 years of business leadership experience and has been with Oracle for more than 14 years. And he leads Oracle's business application. So over to you, Mr. Mishra.
Thank you, Mitchell. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm going to talk about something that is very dear to us. Give me a sec to get the presentation. I've been in the region for over 16 years now, and during this time, we've seen this region really transform itself from the boom on the real estate, whether it was in UAE or across countries in the Gulf and Saudi, to managing the financial crisis of 2008, the success that was created in 2014, and the pandemic of 2020. Well, they call it COVID 2019, but here we are mid-year 2020, and it continues. It's been quite an interesting time, especially over the last 10 to 12 weeks, and I'm sure each one of you know what I would talk about. As expats, we live in a community that is very different than our friends, our peers, and families who perhaps live in their own world, in their own countries, with their own support systems in place. And these changes that have happened specifically for us has created their own stress environments and has challenged us individually and collectively to come together so that we can, continue to sustain and evolve and emerge out of this crisis. The crisis that continues to be in play, and perhaps it's here to stay for a while. So it's very important that during this period, we come together as a community, as individuals, as a business, and see how we can come out of this stronger. So I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about something that is very, very relevant and important. There is no better way to actually talk about the change and how do we outpace the change that we see around us. It is not by coincidence that Darwin talked about this years ago, and it's the relevance of this theory is more and more in play. It is not about just adapting, being responsive or adapting ourselves to the change. It's about how quickly can we do this. And our view is that I don't think that we are in this alone. It is extremely, the times are absolutely unprecedented. And I just wanted to put some context to what I intended to talk to you about, a conversation that I want to have with all of you. Why is it so important for us and relevant for us to be resilient together? And the together piece is very important. So yes, we have to be resilient. Yes, we have to be in this together. And how do we work together, especially to ensure that we stay positive and productive in our business environment? How do we make sure that our business continues, it adapts to the change in place and sustains itself and leverages technology more than ever? I also want to touch about a very important fact that as is an important technology player globally, in many cases privileged to be working with a lot of customers and partners regionally and globally, how are we making an attempt to help our customers? So one thing that is very, very important, all of us have sampled, is irrespective who we are, what facet of society we are in, whatever industry we are in, whatever business that we are in, that we've sampled the power of digital. And what does it really mean? That those of us who have seen that we have been equipped, we have invested in technology in a way that we are able to manage this change and move faster. We've seen the world turn absolutely digital overnight. The very fact that today you and I are conversing through this medium reflects the change that we are living in. And our old habits are changing to new. The new ones will change to even new ones. Perhaps tomorrow morning when we wake up, we will have to adapt to something even more different that we perhaps experience today. So yes, one thing fundamental is that the world has become truly digital overnight. I touched upon my initial thoughts about why is it important for us to be resilient. We've seen the communities come together to help each other. There are a number of examples around us, people who didn't know each other, companies that were not working with each other, not different aspects of a society that were living a siloed world come together to face this pandemic. And in this, we realize that more and more that this crisis that we are facing we have to not only survive, but we need to come out stronger. How do we do that? We need to work very quickly. We have to create a model that is effective, a model that's quickly is understood by your individual in the company as a whole, by your ecosystems, with your customers, your employees, your suppliers, all of them coming together. This particular pandemic is truly global. It has touched everybody, every single individual, every single life in some form or the other. And what is very, very clear is that this may not be the last disruption that we will face. There is no further runway for us. We cannot just, as they say, kick the can down the road and say, all right, you know what? I'll take the problem tomorrow. The problem is already here. We need to take it head on, and we need to be together to move forward. Now, what does it really mean? How do I come together? What do I need to do to make this happen? How do I work closely with my assets? How do I get close to my employees? How do I get close to my customers, my suppliers? What do I need to do to make sure that we come out of this and we have a plan that is a plan for today, a plan for tomorrow? How do I make sure that this plan can evolve and adapt itself to the challenges that we are going to face? One of the most important and immediate priorities that I feel is that people both within and outside our organizations, your organizations, whoever they are in your ecosystem, need to come together. We need to open the boundaries that we have. We need to, and all of us actually need to be far more open and transparent with each other to really put the cards on the table and say, how do we get together so that I can help you and you can help me and we can help somebody else in the process so that we can really make a difference. And that's something that is going to be very, very important for us. Leaders across the world, like myself and others on the call today, I am very sure that you are being called upon to be the courageous change agent so that this whole binding can come together. Now, building a resilient community will also support what is a very important element as we see, so that we sustain, we create a positive and productive environment around it, is our business. There is not a single business out there that has not been disrupted. We've seen weeks, months, and as we see, it's going to take a while for us to come out of this. A while means in some cases, some industries are going to be disrupted for a very, very long time. So we are still in a situation where we believe that the impact of this disruption is being understood. How do we manage this continued disruption in place? Very, very important piece would be to understand the long-term implications, not only in terms of how your organization sees the other side, but how fast you see it create the business models that you need and how quickly you rebound. This is going to be a very, very, very important aspect that we believe that we will all have to look at. Your decisions are going to have a direct impact on the resilience model that you will be building for your business, for your ecosystem, because your business, as we all realize now, is very global. And that will depend, determine the future of your even the smallest facet of the departments in the organization as a whole, and everything else that revolves around it. And one important aspect we realize more and more is that this business plan, this resilience plan that you are going to look at, technology will now be core. They joke about the fact that who is leading, the digital disruption in your organization. And the word going around is COVID-19. Well, it's true. For many organizations who were already on the path, who had taken plans, looking at the challenges the regions was going through, they had already made moves and they're ahead, and it's been easier for them to manage the change or the disruption that came in. Of course, others who were probably sitting on the brink have started moving, but there are some who perhaps are on, looking in a survive mode and thinking whether we should or we should not bring in, leverage technology. Well, my friends, the good news is we will have to, you will have to, and it is going to become fundamental to what you will do out there. So technology will always has and will continue to play a pivotal role, and this will center around, and this business plan that we believe will center around what we call 3 Ws. What is this? One of the things that we've seen is when the change came in, we were all sent home. We all had to work. We all had to stay positive. We all had to be productive. We all had to get together in our own worlds to say, hey, we need to move forward. The show must go on. And as we understood, whatever we have, that there are going to be 3 things that are fundamental. These are fundamental change that have happened. Your employee was and is now more than ever the most important asset that you have. The challenges that I talked about, that whether he is based as an expat or he is living in his own country, the challenge he has faced and continues to face are just amazing. I've heard our peer speakers talk about the challenges and that they have faced. It is not easy for these individuals and all of us, with depending on your stage of your life, the demographics that you have, to have a workspace, have an office at home and work and deliver. It's been a very, very challenging ask on these individuals. And more we realize that these individuals are employees, irrespective whether they are FTEs, whether they are part-time, whether they're contract. They are have become a very, very important player in this new world. The second W, as we call, is the role. The role, the job descriptions have changed for all of us. The ask, there's been a paradigm shift. The ask of the business is very different. What worked yesterday doesn't work anymore. The drivers of yesterday have to be reviewed or have been or are being. And therefore, to make sure that we run a business that can continue, is sustainable, is on a path that can rebound and come back, perhaps requires a new job description, new profiles, new skill sets, retooling that needs to be done. And this is going to be very, very important element that we need to look at. And the third element of the third W, as we call them, is most important, is the workplace. The definition of workplace till yesterday was your office. It's no longer. It's a place of work. It could be work at the office. It could be at home. It could be at a cafe. It could be in a country away. You could still be rendering now, because we've learned this. There are a lot of functions, there are a lot of business areas that can perhaps be run remotely. There is a shift in our mindset, and that needs to be understood, that needs to be leveraged. And how do we do this? So work from home or work from a new workplace definition is going to be very, very important. And this will be part of your business plan going forward. So the workforce strategy is changing, will change. And as I talk to more and more of our customers and peers and industry friends, I realize that there are amazing opportunities that are going to come in play if we look at all these three elements for all of us to manage, to keep the continuity and sustain the business. And that leads to the topic that I was talking about, say, we have to be positive, we have to be productive, and what do I need to do so? So employees, very, very important to have that these assets are looked upon. I briefly touched upon it, and I want to emphasize more and more on this very, very important asset that we have, that makes, how do I now make sure that I again relook at their functions, the critical functions, the job definitions? How do I manage to reskill them, make sure that these are aligned? And how do I make sure that given the workforce strategy that is going to be out there, that they can actually be efficient in working in that model? So remote working is not picking up your laptop and getting on to the internet and be able to do that. Now it's a lot more. How do I extend the office environment to all these places and make sure that my asset is actually equipped to deliver the ask on him or her as we move along? But why are we in this business? For our customers. His world has completely changed. There's not a single business out there, not a single customer out there who in the past 90 days, and perhaps as we move along, will continue to evolve. And I picked up this term KYC, know your customers, because our banking friends use this a lot. But it's true. We really need to get to know them. It's as if the world has changed and you got to meet these people again and understand them and really understand them. You've got to go out, and that means that they also need to open the boundaries. They need to be open about and say, this is where we are, this is how things are going to happen, this is the help I need. Because you can only help if you understand the problem. You can only provide the solutions if you know the problem that you want to solve. So we need to get together. We need to spend more time. We need to really, really get down to understanding where our customers are and how can I find ways and means to help them. That is how you will not only create the community that you want, make it resilient, but that's how you will actually work towards emerging out of pandemic that we are in. And the third element that is extremely important, or the third pillar is very important, is your suppliers. I don't generally like to use the word suppliers because I believe in true partnership, they are your partners. So you need to actually go down and see and look at what is important for you. what is critical to run your operations? Is there an opportunity to look at your contracts? Because the new world demands that there are certain elements in your contract that were no longer valid. They no longer mean both for you and your supplier. But you got to do this in a way that there is an equilibrium out there. It's a win-win situation. One cannot live and the other cannot die. So you got to get that piece together and challenge the way that we have been looking at our contracts and our arrangements and the partnerships. So it's very, very important to look at that piece as we move along. I have a question, a few questions coming up. If it's okay, I'll take them in a bit. And just to continue about this, every organization will have its own playbook. Oracle is working on its relooking at the strategy, looking at how we're going to go continue building the business, sustaining the challenges we have globally. And so will you, so will all the customers. And the important aspect for survival is the sustainability of the business actions, the decisions you make. So you will continue to build your business case scenarios based on what you know and the unknown. There will be worst case scenarios. There is obviously going to be what we call, in-betweens or alternate. So if this doesn't happen, and this is my worst case situation, what do I do? So yeah, you will have to create, because we've been doing the same. We've been looking at the best case scenarios. We just closed a financial year 48 hours back while we were going through this pandemic globally. To help us continue to make sure that we can serve our customers. What are the first actions we need to take to assure our customers that we are there with you? Now, and of course, you're going to look at the risk for each business model out there. You're going to look at the risk and outcomes that you need over a short-term period, and which are immediate, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, and perhaps a bit thereafter. Keep evaluating, monitor this, and keep evaluating this. And yes, the risk needs to be, as best as possible, the risk needs to be understood, mitigated as far as you can, and keep yourselves flexible, be adaptable to changes coming in so that we can continue to do this. And we have to look at new ways to make sure that we can help our customers move forward. That's very, very important. How do we do this? How do we make sure that internally and externally, we can get this across? It's very important to find alignment internally. It's very important to communicate more than ever. It's very important. You got to make sure that your siloed departments or cross-functional departments are no longer siloed. They're truly engaged. They understand the new objectives out there, and what are we are all gearing up to go to. Very, very important. So it's important to get this together. There is nobody who can live in silos anymore. We have to be together. Make sure that that for all the changes that you're doing, you have adequate approvals in place, the governance to follow through, the cabins to make sure is in place. So it's very, very important to align. It's very important to communicate so that everybody really knows what's happening around you, and you are moving all in the same direction. Of course, we have to continue monitor the KPIs that we set out. We have to make sure that we take corrective course of action as required, and where everybody needs to measure his liquidity. If you're in the sales organization, you have to look at sales, look at your production, look at stock, supply, whatever that you're putting together to serve your communities. You need to get that in place. So yes, continuous monitoring is very, very important and very, very relevant. Perhaps more than ever in the past. And again, this is not over. This may not be the last wave. This may not be the only thing that we will face. So we have to become far more adaptive than the past. We have to be far more agile. And we have to plan for the disruptions that we will continue to face as we move along. So it's very, very important to plan for disruptions. How do you do that? Are we ready to embrace the change? Yes, but how do we make sure that we can get along? So it's very important that as part of the sustainability, as part of the continuity that we need, that we're able to build an environment that allows us to run a business anytime, anywhere, but yet in a very secure manner. So technology again will play a very, very important role. You will need to look at technologies that will help you to support those for running your business. Flexibility and adaptability of the systems, the processes, making sure these are ably supported by an ecosystem that helps you achieve the fundamental goal of managing your business easily. And then on top of that, data security and privacy are going to become far more important than they are in the past. So you want to run your business, you want to have the access to the data so they can make information, and you want to do it on your fingertips. And you want to make sure that we're irrespective of what hits me, that I can do this, but I have to do this in a secure manner. It's very important, whether it's statutory, regulatory, or otherwise. So it's very, very important to look at data security and privacy. Yeah, this will be the new world. It's been happening in the past. It will continue to happen. So you've got to, again, look at some of these elements that are very, very important for you. And for my peers or my friends who are probably on the call, they will understand that whether it's your personal data or your professional data, it is extremely important to put the measures in place that make sure that we can run our business unhindered due to these challenges. And yes, we continue to be in an evolving world. We continue to be in a situation where the business models will continue to evolve. What you put in place today may not last, for a quarter or 2 quarters or perhaps the next year. So what do you do with the investments that you're making? What do you do with the needs that are coming up? Your technology of choice needs to ensure that it's able to support the innovations. It must allow you to have, absorb the innovations that are coming in. It's very, very fundamental and very important for yourselves. So please, when you look at these elements to run your business, you must look at these environments.
Hi, Rahul.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rahul, we have run overboard by around 20 minutes. The next session has already started, so I just
want, so if you allow me a minute, so.
Yes, of course.
So it's great, but I wanted to also tell you what Oracle's doing here. So we've been working over these past weeks very closely. I've had a number of calls with CIOs, CFOs, and CEOs in the region, and I've had that opportunity to hear them. And we've actually globally taken some initiatives to be a partner so that we can make that effort to move forward. So here's Oracle's way of helping our customers. We've taken 2 initiatives. One is, of course, to support the resilience plans in place. So one of the most important aspects is our well-being. So there are a few subscription services that we put in place for the health and safety of our assets, the employees, to help you support you with your business partnership and to remodel your business. We've offered the scenario building from Oracle. We've actually worked with the government in certain countries, including our headquarters in the US, to support clinical trials for COVID-19, the vaccinations being built. And yes, we talked about the reskilling and retooling of our assets. So Oracle is offering, our customers and partners is to take certain courses that will help them. They come free to you. They're available on the Oracle website. And one of the other areas that we are working to support the community at large, which are folks like yourself, is what we call the Connect. And it's, again, I can share that, on a separate, the website links where peers like yourself come onto the forum to the community and share what you are doing, the challenges you're facing, the way you pushed forward, so that others can perhaps, hear you, learn from your experience, and find ways to, move forward. Likewise, we've taken an industry approach to, support our COVID, customers, whether they're in hospitality or they're in retail or the airlines. There are a few initiatives that we put together to help them all. So yeah, you can perhaps read the rest of it on the slides. And I want to refocus on one thing, which is very, very important for us. Together, we can do it. Together, we can emerge very strong. And I wish you all the very best. I hope to see some of you again in our journey over the next weeks, months ahead. Thank you so much for your time. If there's anything, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Rahul, for such an important session, and thank you everyone for attending. The next session is already in progress by Mr. Yuvraj Srivastava. He's the Group CHRO of Make My Trip India. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you very much. It was indeed a very nice session. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.